Hi, I'm Armand Diaz, and today's integral astral blog is on the topic of Uranus in Aries. Uranus is one of the outer planets, and it's been in Aries on and off since 2010, sort of in for good since 2011. And Uranus will be in the sign of Aries until 2019, although starting about a year early, it's going to go back and forth between Taurus and Aries. So, what is the energy of Uranus in Aries about? Well, Uranus is a planet that is associated with revolution and change. It is associated with independence and innovation, going your own way, doing your own thing. And Aries is a sign that has very much that same type of energy. Aries is a startup sign, a beginning sign, a sign of initiation. And Aries, of course, is associated with independence as well. So the energy of Uranus in Aries, really it's a sort of reinforcing of the basic Uranian energy, that what Richard Tarnas calls Promethean energy, the stealing of fire. It is an energy that I think is something that we will see, and we already are seeing, manifesting in our lives both collectively and individually. Uranus and Aries, among other things, not only do we feel that need for change, not only do we feel the need for going our own way and doing our own thing, but Aries will push us towards action, and I think we see a great deal of that already. So I think that there are really three different ways you can go with the Uranus and Aries energy. The first is to resist it. This is not a good strategy as far as I can see, because the energy is so strong, we're so much being pushed towards change, we're so much realizing what is not working in the status quo, that trying to maintain it really requires a tremendous amount of energy. And you can't really avoid Uranus in Aries energy anyway. So that if you try to maintain the status quo, what you'll wind up doing is you'll take extraordinary means to maintain sameness. You'll go out of your way to keep things the same. That doesn't make a lot of sense. It sort of doesn't follow, and that's why it's not such a great idea. But we will see a lot of people who are resisting change and who are ready to go to extremes to resist change in their own lives and collectively. The second approach is one that we'll see a great deal of, and we're already seeing a great deal of it, I think, and that is just plain old-fashioned, run-of-the-mill selfishness. The kind of my way or the highway type of attitude. That's not necessarily the best manifestation of Uranus and Aries, but I think we're going to see a lot of it, and I think we are already seeing a good deal of it. We'll see it easily in others, and if we look, we'll probably see it in ourselves a great deal too. The third option is what I like to call creative selfishness. This is the selfishness that says, I recognize others, and I recognize their feelings and their needs, and I recognize expectations, and I recognize the need for community. But I'm going to go and do what I need to do to fulfill my life first. Because really, I'm not going to be that much good for anybody else if I'm not doing what I need to do. And this creative selfishness is different from regular selfishness in that we don't forget about the needs of others. We don't only consider our own perspective, but we do kind of prioritize our own perspective with the realization that if we don't do what we need to do for ourselves individually, then we're not really much help to others anyway. Now, collectively, we also see Uranus and Aries energy around, and if individuals are liable to be selfish, either creatively or just selfish, we'll see the same type of thing in groups. Groups that are kind of rogue groups are already popping up, and they're very typical of Uranus and Aries. WikiLeaks, the group Anonymous, are two early manifestations of this kind of rogue group. The Tea Party captures Uranus and Aries energy, and so does Occupy Wall Street. So does the Arab Spring and all the groups that were associated with that. Now, how you feel about any of these depends upon where where you are on the political spectrum and how you feel about social things and all of that. But the point is that each of these groups are saying we're not going to play by the rules. We're not going to allow the status quo to be what it is. We're going to try to create change from outside. We're going to rewrite the rules, or we're just going to break the rules. If you think the rules, this particular set of rules, is kind of stifling and opposed to freedom, then you think that this group is freedom fighters. If they happen to be attacking a set of rules that you like for one reason or another, then they seem perhaps like terrorists, or certainly they seem like rogue groups that need to be controlled. So the particulars are all across the map. You're going to see it, on the left. You're going to see it on the right. And the basic underlying energy is this sort of revolt against the status quo. So individually, we feel the need to go forward with change in our lives, and we can handle it a couple of different ways. Collectively, we feel the need for change, and we can handle it a few different ways. The resistance to collective change is going to be a big deal. We'll talk about that when we get to Pluto and Capricorn. The energy of Uranus and Aries will particularly affect relationships just now, because Saturn is in Libra, and Saturn in Libra will be the topic of our next talk. See you then.